Hello everyone, welcome to Real Mongolia. I'm Bayra. So today I'm going to react to Hollywood depiction of Mongolia and Mongol Empire and Genghis Khan. So I've been meaning to do this for a while, and I asked my foreign friends about what movies to watch, and they recommended me a couple of films. So the first film I'm going to react to is called Loki. It's a TV series based on a comic book. And in the season 1 of the series, the main hero or anti-hero, Loki, ended up in Gobi Desert. So it's a small scene, but I heard that they casted a real Mongolian woman in this part. So let's start with Loki. Gobi Desert, Mongolia. Oh, he's falling from the sky. Okay. I'm actually really a big Marvel fan. Endgame was fantastic. What?
I am Loki of Asgard, and I am burdened with glorious purpose.
Okay, so this woman, the woman who was speaking, is a Mongolian girl, because I can tell it by her accent. I'm actually happy that they casted actual Mongolian person for this role, because I'm kind of tired of seeing a random Asian looking big buff guy or just a random Asian girl to play Mongolian, because in so many Hollywood movies they just casted some Asian guy or Asian looking guy who speaks English as a Mongolian, and it's completely ridiculous. But so in this film they actually casted a Mongolian actor, so I'm really happy for it. And as for the clothing, I understand that they did some research, but this kind of looks really strange to me, because there are over 20 different ethnic groups in Mongolia. Each different ethnic group has their unique clothing style, cuisine, and culture, music, even the accent are different. I understand that they are trying to show the diversity of Mongol people in here, because they are all wearing different clothes, different style. But one thing I don't understand is why they are all wearing different clothes if they are neighbors. I mean, in the far left you can see their gears, right? So I'm assuming that they are neighbors, they live in the same area, which means they belong to the same ethnic group, which makes it really strange for their clothing choice, because all of them looks like belong to different ethnic groups. For example, in the woman on the left side, her clothing looks like someone from like 13th century, and the guy on the right side, his clothing looks like maybe 17th century Mongolian, and the girl's clothing looks like she's straight from winter time. So someone didn't do his job right.
Never mind. Don't touch that.
Standard sequence violation. Branch is growing at a stable rate and slope. Variant identified.
I beg your pardon?
On behalf of the Time Variance Authority, I hereby arrest you for crimes against the sacred timeline. Hands up. You're coming with us.
Okay, so that was an interesting little scene. So just 1 minute 30 seconds long. So from the start, in the first scene, first look, you can see that there are maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 gears in the middle of the desert. But in reality, you don't build your gear in the middle of the desert like this, because you build your gear at least near some oasis or maybe some river, small river, where you can fetch water, because you need water to survive, right? It's a common sense. And also Mongolian nomads erect their gear in a place where at least their animals can graze, because there are no water here, nothing to graze. So why there are gears in the middle of the desert on the sand? This is a little bit unrealistic, but I understand that they try to show the aesthetics of the Gobi Desert, and they wanted to show that there are gears in Mongolia and etc. But so it's a small thing. Okay, the guy is falling from the sky.
I am Loki of Asgard, and I am burdened with glorious purpose.
Yeah, everyone in Mongolia speaks English fluently. Okay, so that's about it. So that was interesting little sequence. I can't just get over the fact that guy on the right side, his clothes is ridiculous. Okay, that was Loki, and the next film is called The Infamous Conqueror. So my friend Will Gao recommended me this film. So I heard a lot of things about this film. It was made during the 1950s, right? During the Cold War. The John Wayne, the famous cowboy actor, played Temujin or Genghis Khan. So it sounds really strange. I haven't seen this film, but I've seen some footages, some parts and some trailers. And I also heard about the tragic story about the cancer, where in which most of the members of the film crew developed cancer after making this film, because apparently they filmed it in a radioactive zone in Utah, right? And that's what I heard. So there, of course, the full film is not on YouTube, so I'm gonna just search for some clips. Conqueror John Wayne. Okay, let's see this part.
You return empty-handed from the chase, my son?
Not so, fine gazelle.
Now we seek bigger game, Hudlin.
How many markets did you observe?
30? No more.
We'll take twice that number. Kolbagurchi and Savaya.
Okay. I'm gonna need Eric. Okay, so let's talk about this first scene, okay? So I'm guessing this guy getting off from the woman who is approaching is Hulin, his mother. And the second guy is, I think, Jamuha, Temujin's friend, and then become his enemy.
You return empty-handed from the chase, my son?
Not so, fine gazelle.
Now we seek bigger game, Hudlin.
Okay, I really don't like the way they portrayed our ancestors. Not because of the way they look, the way their clothes look, and the way their gears look. Because I understand it was 1950s, it was during the Cold War, and there was no way for the production team to go to Mongolia and meet Mongolian professors, historians, and to do some research and ask about the accurate description of how they dressed in the 13th century and how the Mongolian gear looked like. And the accent is, of course, strange. It's American accent, and what I have a problem is their attitude, the way they interact with each other, the way they talk to each other, their mindset. For example, in the first part, the Holden says,
Handed from the chase, my son?
return empty-handed from chase my son, something like that. Your son is returning from this chase or maybe hunting. If she was a Mongolian mother, she would have kissed his son on the cheek and how are you? Because Mongolian mother would first ask about her son's health and is he okay? And then maybe ask about the how did you do during the hunt and during the chase. So the most important thing for a Mongolian mother is his son's health, for every mother's. But in this scene, the Holden, the famous mother known for her kindness and love for her children, straight up asks, how was your chase? Did you bring anything? Did you bring me some goods, some animals? Something like that. So it was really inaccurate and kind of a disrespectful to Holden, because Holden is considered the mother of our nation, and she's a role model for all Mongolian women because she was elegant, she was kind, she was beautiful, and her heart was full of love and kindness, and they didn't even try to show that side of Holden. Mr. Temujin here didn't even greet his mother. The tone, the tone he is speaking to his mother is really harsh. And in Mongolia, especially in the 13th century Mongolia, it's all about respect. You respect your mother, you respect your father, you respect your elders, you respect your neighbors, you respect your friends. It's all about respect and loyalty and dignity and your way you behave, right? In this film, there's no semblance of that tone, that nuance of Mongolian attitude.
Not so, fine gazelle.
Now we seek bigger game, Hanlon.
Okay, this guy Jamukha is Temujin's friend, and if someone talks to my mother like that, I would slap him, okay? I would punch him, or at least I will tell him, because he's almost like berating him or maybe like shouting at her, Holden. So it's really, 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 really unrealistic and unbelievable.
How many markets did you observe?
30? No more.
We'll take twice that number. Call Bagurchi and Savaya.
Yeah, the way they're looking at each other, it's like they hate each other. Okay, that might be true because in real life, Holden didn't really like Jamukha, because in deep down she knew that Jamukha would betray Temujin in the future, but I don't think in real life they didn't straight up stare at each other like this. This is like cold staring, right? Headdress, this hat, and that gear behind them. It's like a Turkic, more Arabic looking clothes, if you ask me. Okay, let's go. Okay, this looks pretty good. The yak cart looks pretty accurate, and I'm actually impressed by the production design. So they actually built this moving cart.
Small caravan with one flight of arrows.
No man bends his bow until so ordered. I want Targatai's woman unarmed.
Targatai?
Will you attack the Merkit chief himself?
This troubles you?
The merchants are numerous and close.
The Tartars are yet more numerous, and the woman I take from the Merkit's chief is a Tartar woman.
This raid may reap us more grief than spoils, Temujin.
True. Aye. Well, what says Jamuga? Aye, what says Jamuga?
Okay, that's the end of it. Now let's talk about this scene. So talking about how to attack their enemy and how to share the spoil, something like that. And this kind of a Hollywood cowboy kind of talk is not really resonating with the Mongolian history, because in Mongolian history, if you read the secret history of Mongols, Mongolia had a hierarchical system, and for example, no one even dared to talk to their leader Genghis Khan like that, but if they talked, they would do it in a respectful way. So in this scene, they talk each other like a bunch of bandits, right? But in reality, the Mongol army was highly structured and highly disciplined army. So they talk about their strategy and tactics and everything before battle, before during the Khorolte or meeting. No one would break the what they decided during the Khorolte. So this is also unrealistic, but it's okay. The clothing, the helmet, and such, it looks pretty close, not perfect, but it's okay. Okay, this was the one scene. Let's see another. Okay, I think this is the trailer. Let's watch this trailer. The Conqueror. Okay, I can't get over the fact that she dressed like a Roman Empire princess, and the hair, I mean, wow, they really did that. Oh, wow. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. This scene is really impressive. I'm really impressed with it. There are probably maybe hundreds of riders here, and the landscape pretty close to what Mongolia looked like, because there are a lot of mountainous areas in Mongolia, right? So I think, of course, it's a big budget movie, so they poured a lot of money into this film. Okay, this scene is just ridiculous, man.
Temujin, under his heel the cowering nations, in his arms the unconquered woman. He took what he wanted when he wanted it. Mordai meets his fire with ice, matches his fury with flame.
Your hatred will kindle into love.
Before that day dawns, Mongol, the vultures will have feasted on your heart.
Jamuga, tempted to barter an empire for a woman's love.
What? So Jamuka and Burte had an affair, apparently, and Burte apparently dressed like a Roman Empire princess. Okay.
Having taken your favors, I refuse the favor you seek.
Then I would reveal your betrayal to Temujin. Horses for me and my slave woman, and safe conduct out of this camp.
I am tempted, woman.
For while I have fingers to grasp a sword and eyes to see, your treacherous head is not safe on your shoulders, nor your daughter in her bed.
Wow, the battle scene is really impressive. This is 1950s, so there's no CGI, no computer graphics, so all practical like they filmed it on the set, right? So the battles are really impressive. This Chinese looking dress, man. So that was the trailer. So I said my words. So let's little dig deeper. John Wayne Conqueror. Okay. The Conqueror is 1956 American epic film directed by Dick Powell and written by Oscar Miller. The film stars John Wayne as the Mongol conqueror Genghis Khan and co-stars Susan blah blah. The film was principally shot near St. George, Utah. Despite the stature of the cast and respectable box office performance, the film was a critical flop. It is often ranked as one of the worst films of the 1950s and as one of the worst films ever made. No wonder. So the poster says, I am Temujin, barbarian, I fight, I love, I conquer like a barbarian. Okay, so here's my problem with the Hollywood depiction of Genghis Khan. Almost all the time, like 9 out of 10, they show Genghis Khan as someone who is bloodthirsty, this barbarian, this savage murderer. But in reality, Genghis Khan was one of the greatest military leaders in the world, in history. He conquered almost half the land of the world. And he wasn't just this savage barbarian, this bloodthirsty monster. He actually encouraged religious freedom to his subjects, and he developed postal system. He developed this intricate trade system, and he also, a lot of times, there are many occasions where he spared his enemies when they didn't resist him. He only attacked when he was provoked. That was Genghis Khan's philosophy. He never attacked for the sake of attacking, for the sake of like glory. For example, in one instance, one leader of the empire, located in the western side of the Mongol Empire, massacred Genghis Khan's envoys. So he had no choice but to attack that and completely destroyed it, because he had to show the example out of him. So he only attacked when he was provoked, and he was, of course, he destroyed many cities and destroyed many kingdoms, but at the same time he also shown mercy, and he also brought a lot of positive changes to the world. So I don't really like the Hollywood movies that depict Genghis Khan as this bloodthirsty barbaric monster. As a Mongolian, he is our founding father, so we really respect him and we honor him. So whenever I watch the movies like this Conqueror, it makes me sad and angry. And I hope that movie makers in Hollywood would consider that to show the different side of Genghis Khan in the upcoming films. So that's what I think about Hollywood depiction of Genghis Khan. Okay, so the next film, the third film, is called Burn Your Maps. I think it's an international co-production. One of my friends suggested me this film. They said that it's a really beautiful movie about Mongolia and Mongol culture. So Burn Your Maps is a 2016 American comedy drama written and directed by Jordan Roberts, based on the short story of the same name. Let's check this movie out. Okay. Oh, the full film is actually here. Okay. full aerial shot. Wait, they actually came to Mongolia to film it? Wow. Okay, this looks CGI. There is no such big monument like this in Mongolia. I think this is CGI. Yeah, there's nothing, no such thing is like this in Mongolia. This is CGI. Gear District. If they actually filmed this in Mongolia, I'm really impressed by their dedication, because not many Hollywood movie makers came to Mongolia and filmed their film here.
Everybody, bus go back to Ulaanbaatar. New bus tomorrow. Please come in.
What are we going to do?
You know, there's a campground not far from here. At least you wouldn't have to ride back to town.
She said there's going to be a festival tomorrow.
Just tell me they have toilets. They won't.
You're in the middle of the countryside and you worry about toilet, woman. Okay, so I think they didn't film this in Mongolia because the landscape looks really different, because there's no such like kind of trees in Mongolia, and this bus looks strange. Intercity buses are mostly come from Korea, South Korea, China, or Japan. There were Russian buses like this, maybe early 2000s, but no more. And the car plate looks really strange because Mongolian car plate consists of 4 numbers and 3 letters, indicating the registered province. And here we can see that 3 numbers and 3 letters, so the car plate gives it away. And the landscape is really strange, so I'm guessing that they didn't film it in Mongolia.
Okay? I am safe, man. I have no feelings for you. If you think I have feelings for you, I have no feelings for you. I'm sorry. It's just...
Badgers. You're all welcome to share mine.
That's okay, thank you.
It's all right, really. I'm an anarchist. It's against the rules to have private property. You're welcome too.
I never met anarchists. Guess they're fun. I guess where they filmed it, this landscape looks really close to Mongolia, but it is in Mongolia. So they found a place that almost looks like a Mongolia, with a lot of Mongol people. Archery. It's an atom time, huh? I wonder where they found so many Mongol people. See that horse? Yeah, that gives it away. This is definitely not filmed in Mongolia because these horses aren't from Mongolia, because Mongolian horses are small, sturdy, and fast. And these horses look really European. Yeah.
Come on. Hey, hey.
Hi, excuse me. Hi. My friends are trying to get to,
Jargalant.
Jargalant. Do you know where that is?
I do. Not so fast, buddy. How much?
Jargalant,
Also,
that's
I don't
in
want American price. I'm will make it to
Arkhanga
India,
province, right?
and I'm paying for these, so you deal with me, okay?
The price is the same for everyone. It's $100 US a day. Includes this beautiful ride, but not the petrol.
Yeah, buddy.
$100 US a day? Wow, what a prick. That's a ripoff. So from Ulaanbaatar to Jargalant is almost maybe about 300 or 300 kilometers, and it's all paved road. So you can make it in just in a day, right? So $100 a day per person, that's ripoff.
But you're not even Mongolian.
This is true. I'm a Puerto Rican from New York, but you know what? That's not a real beard, so we're even.
Excuse me, sir. We're not paying you more than $50.
Okay, in that case, you're going to want to talk to my friend Santai, but it's going to take you a little bit longer to get there, depending how much you like to push.
How long till we get there?
Do we have a deal? Salsa in Mongolia. Ba't ba yan? Chini na rin ba?
Gantuig.
Ganzuri. He's Mongolian. Chamtai tanhi sarhad tatay ba?
My father's name is Kanzurig. So the way they speak in Mongolian is a little bit rustic, but I think they're doing really good. And Puerto Rican guy is driving in Mongolia. That's kind of unrealistic, but it's a movie, so.
Yamanot.
Yamanot.
No. Give him a minute. This is his.
Okay, so I have few things to say about this scene. So in Mongolia, Mongolian nomadic herders, they don't own just bunch of goats like this. Almost like all the time, they own goats, sheep, cows, horses, and sometimes camels. So that's why it's called 5 animals in Mongolia. And no family owns just a bunch of herd of goats like this. It usually consists of goats and sheep. So this is kind of not really unrealistic. And the horse that the boy is riding, big horse.
Did you say a blessing for them?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. Ganzori, I wonder if I could speak to your parents alone a minute. Ganzori.
This guy looks really familiar to me. I think I've seen him in different films. If I remember correctly, I think he played in one of my favorite movies called Back to the Future. I think in the Back to the Future 2, he was one of those punk guys who ride hoverboards. I don't know his nationality, but he kind of looks Mongolian. I think maybe he's maybe American Indian heritage, because his facial features looks really Mongolian, at least closer to Mongolian.
Is that really his name? It's no. Mongolians, we've been here a long time. So when Ganzori grows up, and if he still wants to sign up, we'll probably still be here. In the meantime, maybe we could make him an ambassador for America.
I think that he would like that very much. Thank you very much for...
Oh, the mother, yeah. I recognize her too. I think she's in a Source Code. Source Code, yeah. There are a lot of films. She's a famous actress, so I think I remember her film. Source Code is one of my favorites.
He asked the child's name.
Oh, before? Wes.
Weskin.
Okay. That was really strange. The way he's talking Mongolian was like... He wasn't saying the end of the word. He was just saying the start, middle, and then he was just completely left out the last part.
No, the other child. Your son mentioned a sister who passed. Please.
Okay, this guy, the shaman, is one of the most famous. I'm actually surprised by the fact that they casted him and brought him to this country to film it. It's good.
It's Lily Ann Umberto.
He asked when you saw Lily last.
We lost her.
We are human. We are lost. It is how it is.
Yes.
Okay, so that was really a emotional scene, and I think this scene really captured the essence of what it is like to be a Mongolian, because this scene is powerful because what the shaman is saying is really resonates with what we believe, what we feel, what we think as a Mongolian. So in Mongolia, shamans are messengers of higher beings or deities, spirits, and the Father Blue Sky, Eternal Blue Sky, or Tengri as we call it. It is believed that through shamans, the spirits, the deities, Tengri sends their message. Through their mouth, they send their message. Through their body, they show their... Shamanism is really deeply rooted in our culture, in our people, because even before Buddhism came, shamanism was here. 12th, 11th century Mongolians were shamanists. And in Mongolian belief, everything on this earth has a spirit. Mountains, rivers, lakes, even rock has a spirit. So you have to respect them. They are deities for everything. For example, mountain has a deity, and rivers has a deity, lakes have a deity. So you have to respect them, because deities, the nature, the spirits is what giving us this life, the nature, mother nature. So in Mongolian mindset, in Mongolian thinking, we have to respect the nature and protect them and preserve them. So we have to live in harmony with nature. That's the essence of Mongolian, what it's like to be a Mongolian. In the heart of nomadic herding culture, it's all about living in harmony with nature. It's been like this hundreds and thousands of years. But it is changing. In the 21st century, people are moving to the city. There are less and less people living in the countryside because they are abandoning the old way of life, nomadic way of life, and it's really sad. But the real Mongolians, real spirit, real culture, real essence of Mongolia is always will be with a nomadic herding culture, nomadic people, because they are deeply connected to the nature. They have deep respect for nature. It's a unique way of life, peaceful way of life, and they take from nature what they want, what they need, and they also give back to the nature. It's an economical, eco-friendly lifestyle, and I hope more people will appreciate it and embrace it. Yeah, it was really good film, and I applaud to the filmmakers, and it really captured the essence of our soul, our culture. That's it. So thank you for watching, and if you have a film that want me to watch and react, you can write its name on the comments down below, and I will do it next time. And today is the 22nd of December, and in a week a new year will come. So I hope that in the year 2020 all your family members or your friends and you will be healthy and successful in whatever you're doing, and I hope that this new year will bring good luck and good fortune to you. So stay safe, and real Mongolia.